And so I said, I would pay for the cheeseburgers, but the bantha took my wallet. Get it? I know, it's a pretty good one. Oh, hey there everybody. Welcome to week number 7 of virtual learning. Yeah, week number 7. Me and R2 here, we're just R2D2. Come on, I'm trying to do the video. You don't want me to do the video? Well, how about then I just turn you off and you take a nap? Sorry, R2, it's for your own good. Sorry about him. Anyways, welcome to week number 7. This week we're going to be looking at some images that I've seen popping up on the internet. And some of you may have seen these images popping up around town. You might have seen things popping up in people's windows or on walls that show messages of encouragement or messages of love to keep people going in these hard times and to keep people positive while we're kind of figuring out this whole pandemic thing out. There is one mural that I saw recently right off of Monroe Street that looked really, really interesting to me. And it's this mural right here. In fact, when I was biking by it just a couple days ago, I saw the artists out in the street getting their paints and their drop cloths all ready and actually painting this mural on the side of Strictly Discs, which is a record store. And luckily, on the very bottom corner of this mural, you can see the artist's Instagram handles. It's kind of a new way of signing your name as an artist. And I looked into some of their work and I found more murals that they were doing, that they had created around town. And I thought they were really cool. They all have these big, bold, bright letters with these big messages of encouragement or messages of love that really made me feel pretty good when I looked at them. Now, 4th graders, we've already talked a little bit about street art and graffiti this year. And if you were a graffiti or a street artist, what would your artwork look like, or what kind of messages would you convey? And we're going to kind of go back and revisit that for this project. This is going to be kind of a simple text-based drawing project, and we're going to be thinking about if you were a street artist during this time of COVID-19 pandemic, what kind of message would you want to convey to the world? What kind of message would you want to tell people that are walking by and seeing it? What could you say with big bright letters that might make people feel a little bit better? I'm going to show you one way to create your very own message of encouragement that you could then maybe display outside or on your window or somewhere where people could see it. This could even be something that you create maybe out on the sidewalk with chalk. So for this project, all you're really going to need is something to draw with and something to color with. And we'll let your imagination and creativity do the rest. Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start with just a pencil for our encouraging message project here. So I was looking at some of the photos of the murals that were put up by Oh Yeah Studios. And one thing that you see that's really reoccurring in all of their artwork is these big letters that look like they're popping right out of the walls. And I wanted to focus on how to create that type of graphic today. So I'm going to take my paper, and I'm using kind of a small sheet of paper just so it fits in my screen a little bit better. But I'm going to start thinking about what kind of message do I want to convey to the people outside that might be walking by to see my message. And remember, this could be just on paper, or this could be something that you put on the sidewalk as well. Either way, I want it to really pop out. So I think something that I think would be kind of cool, a cool message for people to see is just something simple. So my message is going to be, you got this. Like, if people are wondering, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through these challenging times, I want to let them know, hey, you can do it, you got this. So I'm going to start by writing my message nice and big on my paper, and I want to try to space my letters out so they're not going to go off the page or they're not going to be too small. So if you have to try it a couple of times, probably start with an eraser first. I'm going to be making block letters today, and I've shown most of you how to do block letters in the past, but as a refresher, I'm going to go over a helpful way to make block letters if you're a little unsure on how to do that. So I'm going to start with my message. I'm going to write it very faintly, just like this. Alright, you can see that I've written my letters really faintly, and that's because I'm actually going to be going around these with my pencil, a little bit darker. When I make block letters, one good trick to making block letters from regular letters is to put a little fence around each letter, just like this. I want to try to keep that fence the same distance away from my letter the whole time I go around it. Okay, from here, if you'd like, you can start to go over your letters with something a little bit darker or more permanent. Okay, so the first step in making these letters pop, I'm going to get something that's nice and straight. I've got this nice kind of angled triangle here. A ruler would work great for this, but you could also use a piece of cardboard, a clipboard, anything that's really firm and straight so you can make some nice straight lines. We're going to make our letters pop out, and this is going to be sort of familiar if you recall the project we did in 3rd grade where we made those buildings look like they were popping out of that center vanishing point, that kind of 1-point perspective. Now, all of those buildings were leading just to 1 point in the paper. These letters are all just going to be, they're going to be having parallel sort of 3D lines coming off of them. So the first thing you have to do is think about which way these letters are going to be coming from. Are they going to be coming from this corner or this corner? Just for the sake of kind of doing mine similar to how these artists did theirs, I'm going to have my letters coming from this corner right here. So I'm going to start with, maybe I'll start with this T because the letters that have corners to them are a little bit easier. I'm going to line up my straight edge tool to one of these corners, and I'm going to make a line just like this to the edge of my paper. Now, this is a very important line, this first one we did, because all of these other lines, I'm going to try to get those lines to be parallel with this line. And parallel means the lines are going the exact same way. Not like that, same way. So I'm looking at every corner of every letter, trying to get this line to match up with that line that I already made. Inside corners too. Okay, so I got my T done. Now curved letters like an O are a little bit different. I'm going to scooch my straight edge tool until I see that it hits that O, and I still want to make sure that that straight edge tool is lined up with these previous lines. It looks like they're pretty much going the same way. Just like that. And I can do that on the other side of my O as well. You might have to twist your paper around a little. But check it out. This O is about to, if I start drawing a line right here, it's going to run into the T. So wherever it hits the T, I'm just going to stop right there. So that's a really tiny line. And I'm just going to keep moving my way from right to left. And it looks like this S actually would maybe come next. So I'm going to start with the curves and the corners of the S, trying to keep all of my lines going the same way. Okay, the next step of this project is going to be to add some color. So you'll notice that some of the letters have kind of a bottom edge to it and a side. So we want to think about, if we're trying to make these letters look three-dimensional, we want to think about where the light would be coming from, or the light direction. So for me, I'm going to think that on the kind of bottom side of my letters, kind of this bottom part of the T and the bottom part here and here, I think that's going to be a little bit darker because I'm imagining my light coming from the side. So I might pick out a few colors to show that. Maybe I'll do, I think I'm going to do a combination for my letters. I'm going to use some warm colors. So maybe for this T, I'm going to use a red on the bottom, and I'll use an orange for the sides. Alright, I've got my letters all colored in, and I'm actually just going to keep the front face of these letters white. I think that really makes them pop out a little bit more. And if you'd like, you can choose a color for this background area as well. And I'll sign my name in the bottom corner. So there you go. That is one way to make a pretty bold and striking positive message that you can then put on your window. This could go on some kind of post that you could put in your yard for people walking by. And remember, you don't have to just use this form of lettering. This is just one way of making bold letters that stand out. If you know another way of making cool looking letters, you can definitely do that way, and feel free to share it with me through my email, and then I can post it into our virtual gallery. So I can't wait to see what kind of positive messages that you all come up with. If you end up posting them on your window or outside, send a picture. I'd love to see it. Have a great week, Van Heis, and remember, you got this.